About 20% of critical reasoning questions and more than half of reading comprehension questions will ask you to make some kind of conclusion based on the passage. So if the question says, which of the following is most supported by the information, or what must also be true, or what's properly inferred, they're asking you to make a reasonable conclusion. And if you're wondering what makes a reasonable conclusion, a good guideline is softer is better. For example, if you were into gambling and betting on sporting events, you might ask which one of these statements is most likely to be true. If I say the Seahawks will win by exactly 26 points, that exactly 26 points makes it very narrow, and the more narrow it is, the harder it is to be true. If I say the Seahawks will win, that's better than saying they'll win by exactly 26 points, but I still have about a 50-50 odd of that being correct. But if I say the Seahawks might win, or the Seahawks could win, especially the last one, the Seahawks could win, well, anything could happen. So could is so incredibly soft and vague that it just has to be true. So generally speaking, the softer an answer is when you're making a conclusion, the higher probability it is the correct answer. Soft quantifiers are words that can be applied to almost any answer to make it softer or more likely to be true if they're asking for a conclusion. We've already seen the words might and could, but can and may and potentially are often used to soften a conclusion. The word some, incidentally, is probably one of the softest words you'll ever see. Other quantifiers are soft, but you have to look at the context in which they're used. For example, most could mean number one, like I'm the most successful person in my family. Most could also mean simply 51%. Many means two or more, frequently means twice or more, generally and usually mean 50% or more, and often means twice or more. And are these words strong or soft? Well, it depends on the context they're being used. For example, if I say, most nights I cook dinner for my family, that sounds like I'm a pretty helpful husband. But if I say, I usually don't cheat on my wife, all of a sudden, usually wasn't as strong as you probably wanted it to be. Your strong quantifiers are words that mean either 0% or 100%. Words like always and every and never and none. These words usually make terrible conclusions, but we'll see in another video they make fantastic reasons. While judging the hardness or softness of the language in an answer is not the only thing you'll consider when evaluating whether that answer choice is right or wrong, still, it's incredibly important to really hone in on the quantifiers in an answer choice. For example, in this question, the question asks the statements most strongly support which one of the following. So they're asking us to make a conclusion. Now, we haven't read the passage, but we can still make some pretty good guesses. In C, we have this word always. That's usually way too strong to be a good conclusion, so C is likely out. A has this word generally, and generally is a tough one. We've got to be real literal with what that means. That means like 51% of the time. That's not so strong that I want to cross it out right away, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. B, however, has this great word some, and B does end up being the correct answer in this case. The word some isn't the only reason why B is correct, but the soft language definitely does help. Here's another example where paying attention to the quantifiers helps out a lot. The question is asking us the statements most strongly support which of the following. So we're being asked to make a conclusion, which means our softer language is going to be better or more likely to be true. Answer choice B has this really great word, potential. So we're talking about the potential to compromise, which is a whole lot softer than saying the fMRI will always compromise or will compromise. But even the word compromise is pretty soft. If I say compromise privacy, you don't know by how much or how little. And that vagueness in the answer choice makes the answer more likely to be true. On the other hand, in C and D, we have words like most. And remember, most literally means 51%. So is that too soft or too strong? Well, it would really depend on the passage, but most of the time we don't have enough information to say 51% or more. So C and D are not dead wrong, but we should at least be careful about the words most. Okay, so we've talked a lot about how questions that are asking us for a conclusion will usually want a softer answer. But your conclusions not only should be soft, but they should also be very specific to the information being provided in the passage. For example, if I say law school is really expensive, could I then say law school is not worth the money? I can't. Do you see how there's a difference between something being expensive and whether or not it's worth it? There are a lot of things that are very expensive but still worth the money. And there are a lot of things that are very cheap but still not worth the little money they cost. In the line below that, I say education is expensive. So this time I am matching expensive with expensive, so it looks a little better, but the information I was given was about law school, which is only one kind of education. So to take a specific example of law school and then make a general conclusion about education as a whole is too strong. You can't do that. You can't go from specific information and make a general conclusion. If we look at the last option, we have some great language. We have some, which is soft. We also have the word may, which is soft. But the answer choice is also very specific to law school. And affordability is directly related to how expensive something is. So our final answer is good because it's both soft and relevant to the information provided.